Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Look around you for a moment. Observe the constant motion, the endless pursuit. What are we all running from? What are we chasing? So often, it feels like we're perpetually trying to outrun discomfort, to bypass pain, to simply avoid anything that feels unpleasant. We spend so much of our lives running from it, hiding from it, pretending it doesn't exist. We curate our social media feeds to display only the highlight reels, carefully editing out the struggles, the doubts, the profound moments of vulnerability that truly define our human experience. But what if, in this frantic evasion, we're actually missing the point entirely? What if the very thing we desperately try to avoid holds the most profound wisdom? What if, in our attempts to silence it, to push it down, to numb ourselves to its presence, we're actually deafening ourselves to the truth, the deepest, most foundational truth about ourselves and the world? Today, we're not just scratching the surface of a concept. We're diving deep into a profound, almost uncomfortable, yet undeniably liberating idea. An idea championed by the brilliant philosopher, activist, and public intellectual, Dr. Cornel West. He famously uttered a phrase, a deceptively simple sentence that resonates with an extraordinary power and urgency in our modern lives. He said, and it's a statement that should make us all pause and reflect, "You must let suffering speak if you want to hear the truth." Think about that for a moment. You must let suffering speak. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? Our instincts scream, run, escape, distract. But Dr. West suggests an entirely different path. In this video, we're not just going to academically dissect what it means to let suffering speak. We're going to embark on a journey together, exploring how truly embracing its voice, truly listening with an open heart and mind to what it has to say can unlock a level of truth, understanding, and even liberation that you might never have thought possible. This isn't just a philosophy lesson for intellectual curiosity. It's a practical, actionable guide to cultivating a richer, more authentic, and ultimately a more deeply fulfilling life. So settle in, open your mind, and let's explore why the uncomfortable truth might just be the very key to your greatest growth. Stick around, because this conversation could genuinely change how you perceive life's greatest challenges. Now, let's really unpack Dr. West's powerful assertion. When Dr. West talks about suffering, it's crucial to understand that he's not merely referring to acute physical pain, a stubbed toe, a broken bone, or a fleeting headache. While those are certainly forms of suffering, his scope is far broader, far more encompassing of the human experience. He's talking about the emotional anguish that keeps you up at night, the heartbreak that feels like a physical ache in your chest, the quiet disappointments that accumulate over years, the gnawing existential dread about purpose and meaning, the profound weight of systemic injustices that crush spirits, the subtle anxieties, the pervasive loneliness, the feeling of being misunderstood, the quiet desperation that so many carry beneath a composed exterior. It's the profound discomfort, the unsettling unease, the moments when life doesn't just not go according to plan, but feels like it's actively conspiring against you, unraveling at the seams. And then there's the second, equally vital part of the quote, letting it speak. This isn't a passive act. It means more than just acknowledging its existence with a dismissive nod. It means listening, truly, deeply listening with every fiber of your being, without immediate judgment, without the reflexive urge to fix it, deny it, or numb it away. It's about creating an internal space, a sacred pause for that raw emotion, that difficult experience, that profound discomfort to articulate itself fully within us. It's about being present with the pain rather than attempting to bypass it or distract ourselves from it. Think of it this way.
Imagine suffering as a messenger, perhaps even a formidable one, arriving at your doorstep, bringing you a vital, albeit uncomfortable, message. This isn't junk mail. This isn't a fleeting advertisement. This is a direct, urgent dispatch meant for you. What's our usual reaction when faced with an uncomfortable messenger? Most of us, when we see that challenging, pain-bearing messenger approaching, our first instinct is to slam the door shut. We put on our emotional headphones, crank up the volume on distractions, scroll endlessly through our phones, burying ourselves in tasks, or perhaps even resorting to more destructive coping mechanisms. We convince ourselves that if we just ignore it long enough, it will simply disappear. But what if that message, the very one we're so desperately trying to avoid, is exactly what we need to hear to grow, to heal, to understand something fundamental about our lives? What if ignoring it only prolongs the inevitable and keeps us blind to the very truths that could set us free?
It's not just an individual choice. Our resistance to suffering is deeply ingrained, a byproduct of both personal conditioning and broader societal forces. From a very young age, consciously and unconsciously, we are taught a certain narrative. Be strong. Don't cry. Get over it. Put on a happy face. Good vibes only. We live in a culture that, in many ways, actively shames emotional vulnerability and often values a superficial, performative positivity over genuine, messy, and necessary emotional processing. We're encouraged to project an image of effortless perfection, leading us to believe that acknowledging our pain is a sign of weakness rather than a testament to our humanity. And a massive part of that resistance stems from the profound fear of vulnerability. To truly let suffering speak means to open ourselves up, to be raw, exposed, and utterly vulnerable. It means acknowledging pain, confronting our weaknesses, admitting uncertainty, and grappling with confusion. And for so many of us, that is terrifying. We fear being judged by others, being seen as less than, or worse, being utterly overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of our own emotions. The thought of going there, of truly sitting with profound sadness or anger or fear, can feel like staring into an abyss. We've been told, perhaps implicitly, that if we open that door, we might never be able to close it again, that we might drown in the flood of our own feelings.
Then there's the relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of happiness at all costs. We are constantly bombarded with messages, from advertising to self-help gurus, that tell us happiness is the ultimate goal, the only valid emotional state. And while happiness is indeed wonderful, a beautiful part of life, the relentless, single-minded pursuit of it can actually lead us to bypass or suppress anything that feels contrary to it, including necessary suffering. We begin to see suffering not as a teacher, but as an enemy, something to be eradicated immediately, rather than integrated into our understanding of life. This toxic positivity can be just as damaging as outright denial, preventing us from engaging with the very lessons that pain offers. And of course, we have an endless array of sophisticated distractions at our fingertips, a veritable buffet of avoidance mechanisms. Whether it's binge-watching TV shows, endlessly scrolling through social media feeds, burying ourselves in work to the point of exhaustion, or resorting to substances and superficial relationships. These things can provide temporary relief, a fleeting escape from the discomfort. They create a powerful illusion of control, of having moved past whatever was bothering us. But ultimately, they act as powerful barriers, preventing us from confronting the deeper issues, the unspoken truths, and the profound lessons that suffering inevitably highlights. We can run, but we can't truly hide from ourselves. But here's the paradox, the profound truth that Cornel West points us toward. When we finally gather the courage to stop running, to turn around and face that messenger, to truly listen to what suffering has to say, it becomes a powerful conduit for truth. It's not just a destructive force, it's a revelatory one. What kind of truths does it reveal? First, suffering often reveals our deepest fears, our hidden strengths, and our true values. When everything is stripped away, when you lose a job you defined yourself by, when a relationship crumbles, when a health crisis emerges, you are left with the raw essence of who you are. The superficial layers are peeled back. In these moments of profound vulnerability, we see what truly matters to us, what we are willing to fight for, and what resilient capacities lie dormant within us. For example, the sudden loss of a long-held career doesn't just bring financial stress, it can bring a deep identity crisis. But by sitting with that discomfort, by letting the fear and uncertainty speak, you might uncover a long-suppressed entrepreneurial spirit, a forgotten passion for a different field, or an unexpected resilience you never knew you possessed, leading you towards a more authentic and fulfilling professional path. Second, suffering illuminates the truth about our relationships. Conflict, misunderstanding, and heartbreak in our most intimate connections with partners, family, or friends aren't just sources of pain. They are powerful spotlights. They expose communication breakdowns we've been ignoring, unmet needs that have festered, fundamental incompatibilities we've hoped would magically disappear, or unspoken boundaries that have been repeatedly violated. Consider a painful breakup, for instance. It's devastating, of course. But by truly allowing that heartbreak to speak, by not immediately jumping into a new relationship or numbing the pain, you are forced to reflect deeply on what went wrong, what your own role was, and more importantly, what you truly need and deserve in a partner. This painful truth, once acknowledged, becomes the bedrock for healthier, more conscious relationships in the future. It teaches you to love better, both yourself and others. Third, and perhaps most crucially for our collective well-being, systemic suffering speaks volumes about injustice. Poverty, racial discrimination, gender inequality, environmental degradation, inadequate health care, mass incarceration – these aren't just abstract problems. They are manifestations of deep-seated societal failures and inequities that cause profound, widespread suffering. When we allow the suffering of others, particularly those marginalized and oppressed, to truly speak to us, it compels us to see beyond our individual comfortable experiences. It forces us to recognize broader systemic injustices, to understand the interconnectedness of our struggles, and to confront uncomfortable truths about power, privilege, and the structures that perpetuate harm. Witnessing the suffering caused by social injustice, whether through direct experience or empathetic engagement, can ignite a powerful passion for advocacy, spurring us to demand change, to fight for a more equitable world. It's a call to action, demanding we not just observe, but participate in alleviating suffering. Fourth, profound personal suffering often reveals the truth about what truly matters in life. Near-death experiences, the onset of a chronic illness, or the profound loss of a loved one have a peculiar way of stripping away the superficial. The things we once tirelessly chased, prestige, material possessions, endless accolades, might suddenly seem trivial, even meaningless. In their place, relationships, genuine human connection, the simple beauty of nature, the warmth of laughter, the quiet moments of peace, these become paramount. Imagine someone who has tirelessly climbed the corporate ladder, only to face a severe health scare. That moment of acute vulnerability, that confrontation with mortality, can make them radically reprioritize their life, choosing to spend quality time with family over late nights at the office, pursuing a long-forgotten hobby, or finally saying yes to that dream trip. The suffering reshapes their definition of a rich life. Fifth, and this is a truly transformative truth, the most profound personal growth often emerges from periods of intense suffering.
It's not in comfort or ease that we are fundamentally reshaped. It's in the crucible of hardship that we are forged anew. Think about the process of overcoming addiction. It is an excruciating journey, fraught with relapse, shame, and immense physical and psychological pain. But by truly confronting that suffering, by letting it speak about the underlying wounds and desires, individuals often emerge with profound self-awareness, an unparalleled empathy for others, and a deep-seated resilience they didn't know they possessed. Similarly, grieving a significant loss isn't about getting over it. It's about learning to live with the absence, and in that process, discovering new capacities for love, compassion, and meaning that wouldn't have been accessible otherwise. As the poet Khalil Gibran wrote, "The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain."
And finally, suffering reveals a fundamental truth about the very nature of reality. It is an inherent, unavoidable part of the human condition. To truly understand life, to embrace its richness and complexity, we must understand its full spectrum, not just the pleasant, sunlit parts. Denying suffering, pretending it doesn't exist or constantly trying to escape it, is ultimately denying a fundamental, inescapable aspect of reality itself. It's like trying to understand the ocean by only looking at its calm surface, never acknowledging the powerful currents or the vast, deep, and sometimes turbulent depths beneath. When we accept suffering as part of the human journey, we become more grounded, more resilient, and more truly alive. So the question naturally arises, how do we do this? How do we actively let suffering speak when every fiber of our being urges us to flee? It's not about seeking out pain, but about responding differently when it inevitably arises. It's a practice, a discipline that yields profound rewards. Here are some actionable steps you can begin to incorporate into your life.
1. Create space and silence. In our hyper-connected, noisy world, finding moments of quiet contemplation is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. This could be through dedicated meditation practice, where you sit with your thoughts and feelings without judgment. It could be mindful walking in nature, intentionally leaving your phone behind and simply observing the world around you, allowing your internal landscape to emerge. Or it could be as simple as carving out 15 minutes each day to simply sit in silence, without distraction, no TV, no music, no scrolling. Just you, your breath, and whatever thoughts or feelings arise. This stillness is where suffering can find its voice, where its whispers can become audible. 2. Practice self-compassion. This is perhaps one of the most vital and often overlooked steps. When you're experiencing suffering, your inner critic can be incredibly harsh. We often say things to ourselves we would never dream of saying to a dear friend. Instead of judging your pain or shaming yourself for feeling it, approach your suffering with kindness, understanding, and radical acceptance. Treat yourself as you would a beloved friend who is in deep pain. Instead of thinking, "I'm so weak for feeling this way," try reframing it to, "This is a difficult moment, and I'm doing my best to navigate it." Imagine wrapping yourself in a warm blanket of acceptance, acknowledging that pain is part of the human experience and that you deserve care just like anyone else. 3. Embrace journaling and reflection. Writing down your thoughts and feelings about your suffering can be an incredibly cathartic and revealing process. It allows you to externalize what's swirling inside, to give form and structure to amorphous emotions. When you write, you create a space for the suffering to articulate itself on paper. You can analyze patterns, identify triggers, and gain clarity on what's truly going on beneath the surface. Don't worry about perfect grammar or profound insights, just let the words flow. Whether it's stream of consciousness writing or structured prompts asking, "What is this feeling telling me?" or "What do I need right now?" journaling is a powerful tool for self-discovery. 4. Seek support. You absolutely do not have to navigate profound suffering alone. In fact, trying to do so can be isolating and counterproductive. Sharing your experiences with a trusted therapist or counselor can provide a safe, confidential space to explore your pain with professional guidance. A therapist can offer tools, insights, and perspectives that you might not be able to access on your own. Similarly, opening up to a trusted friend, a supportive family member, or joining a support group can provide invaluable perspective, empathy, and a sense of belonging. Sometimes just being genuinely heard and understood by another human being is a powerful step towards healing and allowing the truth to emerge. 5. Engage in creative expression. Art, music, writing, dance, poetry, even cooking. These can be powerful, non-verbal outlets for processing difficult emotions and allowing them to speak in ways that words sometimes cannot. When words fail, creativity often prevails. Don't worry about being good at it. The purpose isn't to create a masterpiece, but to create a channel for your feelings. If you're overwhelmed with anger, perhaps vigorous drawing or painting could release some of that energy. If you're feeling profound sadness, writing a poem or composing a melody could allow that emotion to express itself in a beautiful, cathartic way. It's a form of active listening to your internal world, translated into an external form. 6. Practice mindful awareness. Instead of pushing away uncomfortable feelings, which only amplifies them, try to observe them with mindful awareness. This means noticing the feeling without judgment, without immediately attaching a story to it, and without trying to change it. Where do you feel it in your body? Is it a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, a tension in your jaw? What thoughts arise when this feeling is present? This is not about wallowing in the emotion, but about consciously engaging with it, understanding its texture, its ebb and flow. This practice, often cultivated through mindfulness meditation, helps you create a healthy distance from your emotions, allowing you to observe them rather than be consumed by them. 7. Allow for grief and processing. Give yourself explicit permission to grieve. Grieving isn't just for death, it's for any loss. The loss of a relationship, a job, a dream, a stage of life, an identity, or even just an expectation. Healing is almost never linear. It's often messy, with good days and bad days, steps forward and steps backward. It requires time, patience, and dedicated space for processing. Don't rush yourself or expect to get over it quickly. Each wave of grief, each pang of sadness is a part of suffering speaking, telling you about what you've lost and what truly mattered. Honor that process. 8. Identify the underlying message. Once you've created space, practiced self-compassion, sought support, and engaged in these practices, you'll be better positioned to ask the most profound question. What is this suffering trying to tell me? What hidden lesson is embedded here? What long-ignored need or truth is knocking at the door of my consciousness? Perhaps the heartbreak is telling you to establish healthier boundaries. Perhaps the anxiety is pointing to an unaddressed fear of failure. Perhaps the feeling of emptiness is calling you to realign your life with your true values. This is where suffering transforms from mere pain into profound wisdom, becoming a guidepost for your next steps.
So, what happens when we commit to this often difficult practice? What are the profound benefits that emerge from the crucible of conscious suffering? The outcomes are nothing short of transformative, leading to a life that is not just happier, but deeper, more meaningful, and far more resilient. First, and perhaps most immediately impactful, is the cultivation of deeper empathy. When we understand our own suffering, when we've truly sat with our heartbreak, our disappointments, our fears, we developed an unparalleled capacity for empathy towards others who are struggling. We move beyond theoretical understanding to an embodied knowing. We see their pain not just as an abstract concept, but as something we can genuinely relate to, something that resonates with our own experiences. This doesn't mean we pity them. It means we connect with them on a profoundly human level, fostering genuine compassion and understanding. This empathy then becomes a powerful force for building stronger communities and a more humane world. Second, by facing and processing suffering rather than avoiding it, we build an incredible inner resilience. Resilience isn't about never falling down. It's about how quickly and wisely you get back up. When you've learned to listen to your pain, to extract its lessons, you develop an inner strength, a spiritual fortitude that equips you to handle future challenges with greater grace, wisdom, and an unwavering sense of self. You learn that you can bend without breaking, that difficulties are not just obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Each time you let suffering speak and integrate its message, you add another layer of armor, not of hardness, but of wisdom, to your soul. Third, listening to the truth, even the uncomfortable, inconvenient truth that suffering brings, allows us to live with greater authenticity and integrity. When we suppress our pain, we often suppress parts of ourselves. We wear masks, we put on performances, we live lives that are misaligned with our true selves and deepest values. But by bravely confronting our suffering, we begin to shed those masks. We align our actions with our insights, our external lives with our internal truths. This leads to a profound sense of self-acceptance and a liberation from the constant need to please others or conform to external expectations. You stop performing for others and start truly living for yourself, in accordance with your own unique compass. Fourth, the wisdom gained through suffering is not merely academic or intellectual, it's profound, embodied wisdom. It's the kind of wisdom that can only be earned through lived experience, through the fire of adversity. You can read 1,000 books on compassion, but until you've truly suffered and understood the depths of human pain, your compassion will remain largely theoretical. This is the wisdom of the soul, the kind that transforms your entire perspective on life, giving you a depth of understanding and a clarity of vision that cannot be taught in a classroom. It's the wisdom that allows you to see beauty in imperfection and strength in vulnerability. And finally, and perhaps most paradoxically and beautifully, by embracing the full spectrum of human experience, including its inevitable suffering, we don't just find meaning, we open ourselves up to a deeper, more enduring form of true joy, not just fleeting happiness. Happiness, as we often define it, is a temporary state, dependent on external circumstances. But joy, a concept often explored in philosophical and spiritual traditions, is a profound sense of well-being that can coexist with pain. It's a rootedness in understanding and acceptance of life's totality. When we integrate our suffering, when we understand its lessons, we can find a profound joy in simply being alive, a joy that is resilient, less dependent on external validation, and rooted in an acceptance of life's grand, complex tapestry. It's a joy that comes from living a full, authentic, and deeply understood life, knowing that even in the shadows, there are profound truths waiting to be discovered. So, let's circle back to Dr. Cornel West's profoundly insightful words. You must let suffering speak if you want to hear the truth. This isn't a morbid pronouncement, nor is it a call to masochism or an invitation to dwell endlessly in pain. No. It is a profound invitation. It's an invitation to cultivate courage, the courage to face what is uncomfortable. It's an invitation to embrace authenticity, to live a life aligned with your deepest truths. And, most importantly, it's an invitation to a deeper, richer understanding of ourselves, our fellow human beings, and what it truly means to be alive, to be human, in all its beautiful, messy, and challenging complexity. I want to issue a challenge to each of you watching today.
The next time you encounter discomfort, sadness, anxiety, or any form of emotional or even physical pain, don't immediately run from it. Don't immediately distract yourself with a screen or a task. Instead, for just a moment, pause. Take a deep breath. Lean in, even just a little bit, towards that discomfort. And then, with genuine curiosity and a willingness to learn, ask yourself, what is this suffering trying to tell me? What message is it carrying? What truth is knocking at the door of my consciousness, patiently waiting for me to finally listen?
Your insights are incredibly valuable. What has suffering taught you? Perhaps you've experienced a profound loss that revealed your inner strength, or a difficult relationship that taught you about self-worth. Share your experiences, your insights, your lessons learned, or even just your initial thoughts and feelings about this powerful quote in the comments below. Let's create a space here, in this community, for real conversation, for authentic sharing, and for collective growth. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to begin their own journey of listening. If this video resonated with you, if it sparked something within you, if it gave you a new perspective on life's challenges, please give it a thumbs up. Your engagement truly helps us reach more people who might benefit from this message. And if you're new here and want more content like this, deep dives into philosophical ideas, practical tools for self-improvement, and explorations of what it means to live a meaningful life, then hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the human condition. Thank you, truly, for joining me on this profound journey today. Remember, the truth isn't always comfortable. It can be raw, it can be confronting, and it can be difficult to hear. But it is always, always ultimately liberating. It is the path to genuine understanding, profound wisdom, and lasting peace. Until next time, be brave, be curious, and most importantly, keep listening.